This is the farmhouse where I grew up, where my father grew up, where my grandfather grew up, where my great-grandfather grew up. The main house was built in 1860. Before that, there was a log cabin from 1856 to 1860. The first addition to the house was added on in 1915. Then sometime in the 30s, there was another addition added. We got electricity in 1943 with the Rural Electrification Act. That is when the first major revision to the house happened. They had to gut everything to put the electric wires in. The next major update was around 1965 that my parents did. And now what I am doing is I'm removing the majority of the 1960 updates and reverting the era back to somewhere between 1920 and 1950, when the construction materials and the items used in the house were real, not fake. I'm going to show you each room in the order that I did them years ago. While I am no more of a carpenter or a designer than any member of my family has ever been, I'm doing it to suit me and my tastes. Every upgrade has to start somewhere, and ours started in the kitchen. All we intended to do was remove the cabinets, lower them down 4 inches, and put them back. Well, to lower them, we had to get that brown covering off the wall, and as you can see, it was glued on, and we had to scrape like mad to get it off. And since we were redoing the cabinets, we might as well get a new countertop, get rid of the Formica, and while we were doing that, we decided we ought to put a new sink in. We bought one at a school that they were tearing down. It's an ASK industrial stainless sink. Then the next problem was, how do you fit the oversized sink into the smaller cabinet? With careful trimming, we were able to get it to just barely fit. And then we got the idea that it would be nice to have a hole cut in the wall over the sink so it would look into the living room. We'd be looking into the main part of the house, so the wall you see that we're taking down or cutting a hole in is the old outside of the house. At this point, we got the template for the new countertop. It's 3/4 inch plywood, and we managed to get all of that brown whatever it was off the wall, and we discovered that the old outside of the house was white oak. Then we test fitted the sink and took a 1x4 board and glued and pocket screwed it to the plywood to create the template for our new countertop. Here we had a local company skin our plywood base in stainless steel because we wanted stainless steel countertop because it is period from 1910 on. And you'll notice we did some more sanding on the white oak, and we've got it down to the original finish. When they skinned the plywood, we had them put the stainless on upside down so we had the dull side. And then we took a Scotch-Brite pad and went widthwise across the stainless to give it a satin finish, because stainless does nothing but scratch. So if we do mark it up, we can fix it very easily with a redo of the green Scotch-Brite. Because the white oak was now visible, we had to patch the slot that was cut for the electric wires in 1943. Then we rehung the cabinets and installed a fan on the ceiling to move air around, hot air around or cold air, depending on the season. Next, we started testing for the position of the under cabinet lights. We chose T4 fluorescent lights, and using the clamps, we were trying to decide the orientation and the position of the under cabinet lights. We ended up with a long one on the left, a short one over the sink, and a long one on the right. And then to cover the lights, we used a piece of 1-inch pine glued and pocket screwed to the bottom of the cabinets. And here you can see the alignment of the under cabinet lights and the construction of the valance. And along just under the cabinets against the white oak, you can see we've got one set of cabinet electrical receptacles, and there'll be another one where the wires are sticking out. And so with everything else being new and redone, we decided to remove the genuine imitation mahogany finish. And when we did on the one cabinet, we discovered that it was built from hard maple. Back then it was a garbage wood. Today it's a premium wood. And what we did was strip one cabinet each night until we had the whole bank done. Then we refinished the cabinets with Old Masters natural stain and 3 coats of clear poly, 2 of satin and 1 of gloss, because it's much easier to put down 2 coats of satin, and then you got to be careful with just 1 coat of gloss as opposed to trying to do 3 coats of gloss. And when we reinstalled the doors, we realized we should have new stainless hardware to go with the stainless countertop. And here's the wet wall cupboards from the other angle. And then while we were at it, we decided to have a pull-out garbage bin at the end cabinet on the right. And then we reattached the door. However, that presented a problem that the handle was not conducive to easy opening and closing. So we found a tiny T-handle in stainless steel that perfectly matches the regular handles, making it easy to pull out the garbage bin. Next, under the sink, we fitted a brand new bottom because the original wood from leaks over the years, it had rotted. And a little white paint to brighten it up inside. And since we were cleaning up the inside, we decided to put sliding drawers to facilitate getting things in and out and make it neater. And since we did it for under the sink, we decided to do every cabinet with the sliding drawers, because the original cabinets only had a base and then a half shelf in the middle. These you can pull out all the way and they hold a tremendous amount of weight. And at this point, we just decided that we did not like that mushroom color on the cabinet, so we went with blue. And if you remember, back when we put the sink in the plywood base, the sink was an ASK Industrial, and the faucets are a Briggs Industrial. And the interesting thing is, Briggs is still making the exact same faucet assembly today. So I contacted Briggs, and they sent me what they call a pot filler faucet, so that we could get things under the old low boy faucet. And we finally decided on a grid for the fan. We angled the louvers, some down and the upper ones straight out so it blows across the room. But we were not happy with the fan that we had, which was an attic fan. So what I did was I took a 20-inch box fan, removed the motor, took some erector set building materials, and made a support for the motor in the center of the hole. And then before I installed the original box fan blade, I plastic painted it the color of the grill so that it all matches. And with a fan we liked, we needed a controller to control the speed. So in the middle of the hole that we cut, the pass-through hole, we installed a 3-speed fan controller. And it was easy enough with a blank stainless steel plate to drill a hole and install the controller and use a label gun to indicate low, medium, and high. And then to stop certain people from taking the dishcloth and either laying it on the faucet or draping it over the sink, I took another cabinet handle and built a little hanger so to keep the washcloth up out of the way, and it would dry and not be contaminated by anything else in the sink. And the last thing we did to the wet wall was we attempted to install an LED automatic on under sink light. When you open the doors under the sink, it would light up so you could see what you needed to get. However, if you notice the sensor, it's pointed straight down and not at the door. We couldn't mount it any other way. So the quick fix was a simple piece of cardboard that when the door closes, it slides across directly under the sensor and it turns the light off. And conversely, when you open the door, the cardboard slides out of the way and the sensor turns the light on. Although that does mean you have to open the right door to have the light come on, because it will not work with the left door. And that is everything we've done to our wet wall.